I am late in getting this podcast out this morning. I got caught in a early morning mediation, which went further than what I thought it was going to go. But and then I had another mediation right after that, and no show, which is okay. That happens in life. Sometimes people just don't show up, and you have to move on, right? So now I have time before lunch to do this podcast with you guys. You know what? I did something this weekend, and I thought, you know what I'm going to do is, because I use social media so much to promote my business and to educate and to tell stories and to produce my podcast on and everything else. But the problem is that when I get into Twitter, I get very frustrated. I get very, okay, let's just use the word pissed off, because I see so many really naive and dumb comments about politics and about people and about calling people names and everything else. And last week, I noticed that I was getting more and more tense throughout the day as these beeps came in and they were telling me what people were saying and what was happening. I pay attention to mostly the business side of social media. But sometimes these political issues come up that affect businesses, and I get upset because no matter how much I talk about things, sometimes I wonder if I'm really reaching the people that I need to be reaching. And then I have to kick back into myself and say, okay, no, you're there to give information, to teach people about business, about personal finance, and about things that are coming up that will affect them. You're not supposed to be getting involved in all this other nonsense, because that other nonsense wears you down. So over the Memorial Day weekend, starting Friday and going forward, I said, I am not going to post, I'm not going to read anything that's on Twitter. And I did it. I kept up to my promise of not doing that. I had a very relaxing weekend. I had a very nice weekend where I read a couple of books and I did a couple of podcasts. I worked out in my garden. I swept up all the leaves. I got these magnolia trees that they shed a whole bunch of leaves. I've never known a tree to shed constantly throughout the year these big, huge, almost a foot long leaf that falls off these trees. I've got magnolia trees all over the side and the front of my house. But I cut off Twitter, and I cut off also all of the other nonsense on Facebook and all this stuff that I pay attention to. I cut it all off. I felt that I had a weekend where I didn't care about what happened. I didn't care about what Biden said. I didn't care about what stupid senators and members of Congress said. I just kept quiet to myself, and I did what I wanted to do. I cooked a really good meal on Sunday, and I thought, you know what? This social media is time-consuming. Sometimes we're wasting so much time on social media because of all of the nonsense that gets spouted, especially during an election year. The election year gets crazy. People just spout stuff out and they don't even think. I saw one this morning that literally, I cannot believe someone would even post something that they said they were afraid about what a movie was about and that she felt that her life was in danger. And I'm thinking, my God, do we have this kind of weak people that are willing to post this stuff out there? How about, why don't you engage with people? Why don't you put something out there that people can think about? Not about what you're afraid of. Not about what you're worried about politically. Not worried about what other people may say. Why can't we use social media for a more positive tool? So I said, okay, I have got to start using media for more, the social media sites that I use for more of a positive tool. And I always said that when I started this podcast, and I've been doing this podcast for over 5 years now. That's a long time to be doing a podcast. I think over 1,300 podcasts that I have out there on all kinds of subjects in business. And I like the teaching side of the podcast. I like being able to sit down in my office here, look outside, and talk to you like a friend, like we're having coffee in the morning. And we talk about social media, we talk about life, we talk about business, we talk about issues that has to deal with our personal finances. And it's a much better situation. It's a more positive outlook on using social media. But I'm telling you, as you sit there and you read what everybody is saying, it's one put down, one nasty name, one being afraid, one of this and one of that. And it's not just normal everyday people doing this, which there are, but the majority of it is individuals who are in political office. I have never read such a negativeness from politicians before. And I say this again, and I'll say it over and over again. Politics is an unethical profession. There's nothing ethical about it. People are there because they, at the very beginning, some, wanted to do something to benefit their community and their state, and the American people. But the problem is, when they get there, they get entangled with the power of money, the power of sitting on special committees, and the list goes on. And then they forget about the American people, and that's when the unethical side of life comes out. It's no longer about the American people. It is about their power, control, nonsense. And so as you read all of these individuals' postings, and then you read the comments of the people that are responding to the posting, it becomes a very nasty situation. Very nasty. And I think that, well, I've said this so many different times that we need to get away from this social media thing. It's doing too much damage, especially to our young people. Just think how nuts we are. I mean, we as adults are the nuttiest people ever on social media. I have never seen such childish responses or postings than we adults. And I have been guilty of it too. Because you feel that you can say anything. And the problem is, in this life, the process should be listen, think, then respond. But we don't do that. We just post something of how we're feeling that day. We might have had a bad hair day, and we'll post something about somebody else's bad hair day. I mean, it's you see the nonsense in it. Social media has made us a bunch of nonsense people, and we need to get away from this, and we need to sit down and engage with real people. Because this engagement, or this lack of engagement with individuals, over a cup of coffee, or over dinner, or just sitting around the coffee table, or the kitchen room table. Gosh, I remember when I was young, we had so many conversations around the dining room table. And they were good conversations. The problem is we have forgotten how to communicate. All of us have forgotten how to communicate. We think that in a 20-word text, that's it, that's done. We think that in a text that we push send on, that's going to clear up the whole problems of the world, but it doesn't. It creates more problems. The problem is that we haven't learned how to think about our free speech. Yes, I believe in free speech. I engage free speech. I hug free speech. I love free speech. And we should all have this ability to say what we want to say. But as human beings, we need to pull back just a little bit and think about what we're saying. What is our goal in our message? Is it just to be nasty? That's worthless. Is it just to be argumentative? Well, that's even worse. That's nasty. If it's to make fun of other people, that's bullying. You see, the problem is that a lot of us have become political bullies, and we think that what we say is going to change you, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. Social media has become this mafioso type situation where individuals named Huck and I or Boo Boo Face or whatever the name that you've chosen, you feel as though that you can go ahead and call that other person a Nazi, that other person a racist, that other person a conservative, that other person a liberal, that other person... I mean, the list goes on, right? We've seen it all. We've read it all. It's all out there. The problem is, you and I have got to start acting like adults because we're setting a really bad example to the young people that's below us. We've got to be better at our communication process. Social media is a great way to get information and to learn from other people. I love to see the social media that's putting out good information. There's several people I follow every single day on Twitter that puts out good business information. They tell me what's going on during the day. They tell me how the S&P has performed over the last few years. They look at the CPI. They look at inflation. They look at everything. And I follow those people because they give me good information. And then there are other people out there who are just pointing fingers and doing the blame game, and just stirring the pot of nonsense. And we've got to be careful of those types of individuals. And there's also many groups on social media that say there's something. There was one that was something of ethics. It was a committee of ethics. I forget what the name of it was, but the name ethics was in there. And what they were trying to do is tell you that they were trying to be the guy or be the people that monitors ethics of politicians. Well, if you go to their website, it's all about Trump. So it wasn't about ethics. It was about politics. And once you mix politics into anything, it becomes unethical. So let's do better. Let's be better communicators. We got to do better at this. I tell you, I had a nice weekend of just chilling. No politics. No nonsense. Listen, if you would like to have better access to me, if you need business advice or if you need to settle a dispute, excuse me. I just came from outside and there's a bunch of dust in the air and it's gotten into my lungs. But if you would like to have more access to me, if you need to set up a session with me, you can do it right online at my website, which is www.lodge.co.com. If you want to support my podcast, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. This is Mike Lodge. Everybody go out and have a great day. Love you all. Bye-bye.